That was absolutely an insane ride. I busted my ass to get in this mediocre shape, but it's still probably one of the best shapes of my life. Just so that way I wouldn't be so winded today. Sorry guys for seeing male nipples, but it's been months and months of training. So we're minutes away from the driver's meeting, so it really is becoming real. You can see the sun starting to light up. The guys forgot one small thing, a power strip, and so my laptop is dying. And on top of that, I can't calibrate the car. I'm having a couple of issues. This is why I did not want to qualify on the first day, because the new team, new everything. It's kind of a run what you brung situation, and so this first run, we're gonna run tire warmers. Next ones we aren't, because we need power back to this, power to my laptop. Still feel really good. I feel like I'm gonna be annoyed more than anything. That, we cut a lot of me being annoyed out, but that really does happen where it's just like, it's working, but I need to be able to test the limits of the car, otherwise what's the point? This is just an incredible view on the first day of testing. We are above the clouds. Truly a race to and through the crowds. It's nuts. So, car's running weird. Got some shifting issues big time, but other than that, it's running and it's doing solid. Got water sprayers leaking. So I got like a lot of small stuff that's really holding me back. But it's okay, first day. Round two, round one sucked, but you know what, it doesn't suck being up on that mountain. If I was in charge of 8 Sleep's product development, you would probably see this somewhere inside of the bed. They have created something that is far better than this, and it's not only a luxury, my quality of life has massively improved thanks to 8 Sleep. The mattress topper has this all built in. It allows you to cool your bed down to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, and it can even skyrocket all the way up to 110 Fahrenheit. The system can automatically, they call it autopilot, it will adjust the temperature. Little zigzags up and down depending on your sleep stages. And it works. You can have up to an hour of additional quality sleep. You've got the health check, making sure that your heart rate variability, and you can see all of that down here. So one of my personal favorite things, my heart rate variability is climbing. The app can detect how much snoring you have, and if you have the Pod 5 or even Pod 4 Ultra with the bass, it can adjust your position to stop you from snoring. I am very fortunate to have the Pod 4 Ultra, and the cat absolutely loves it. The thing I am waiting for, the Pod 5 Ultra, because aside from putting this condenser on top of me, the Pod 5 includes a blanket that is thermally regulated at the same temperatures as the mattress topper itself. What are you waiting for? Head over to 8sleep.com/RobDahm to get $350 off your very own Pod 5 Ultra. You even have 30 days to try it out, and if you don't like it, you can send it back. They are shipping to many countries worldwide. Go to 8sleep.com/RobDahm. Rob was trying his best to help and turned up the pressure on the shifter to try and help, and it ended up blowing a hole through the side of the shift hose. Halfway up, I'm stuck in fourth gear, but at least it's a quick fix, and I got some data that hopefully I can use to try and make a hopefully a clean run today. But honestly, this is worse than I was expecting today to go for me. I'm getting 0 seat time. I'm just driving the car slowly up there, so I can't tell you what the limit of the car's like. I drove it harder on race day. Thank God we get to do this section again Friday, because I desperately need it. So I thought the hose was just compromised, but we're just building up so much more heat in the drivetrain that we blew it again. I saw a little bit of smoke. That was my smoking gun, that it's actually melting. So we're gonna put some heat shielding on it to hopefully make a run and actually be able to shift 1st through 6th for once in my life. I don't know whose idea it was to send Romain Dumont after me when I've been having problems every round with this air shifter. The air shifter melted like 1/3 of the way up this time, even faster than before, even with this heat shielding. And the car behind me, Ford's Mach-E, Insano car, and at the finish line, he basically almost hit me. They were freaking out. I'm like, not my fault, but it would have been sick if that happened, I guess. Getting ass packed by Romain Dumont. A French man's dream. It was 100% 5th gear this time, just fucking around. It was even slower. It was so frustrating. I was banging on the steering wheel and everything. It seems like middle section. Don't you feel like middle section? We just always, every time we're in middle section, our battery falls off. We're trying to pass tack. Our thing keeps breaking. Every other section seems to go pretty smooth. I got a taste of it the previous run. I got 3 turns where I was going full speed using ABS and everything. And that showed me that this car can do what we think it can do. Oh my God. We are getting absolutely pelted by hail, and that is way louder. Like, it's gonna come through this glass right now. We're watching it bounce off other cars, and it's massive, just crushing these cars, then bouncing off of them. It's painful, but thank God this truck is a piece of shit, like visually. Surprise, we are back at UPP. These guys have been utterly incredible to us last year, and then again this year, just welcoming us with open arms. The guys already tore into the car while I was sitting staring at the map going, I have no idea what I'm doing. I should have never said I would be the tuner or the wiring guy on this car, but here we are having to do that. So while the thunder is going on outside, we're trying to get the thunder under the hood. A lot of small issues that are all compounding. I cannot, for the life of me, get the Haltech to calibrate my G-force sensor. It's like it's a bug of some sort, and of course I'm the one guy that finds it. The car will not measure its G-force, so I can't tell on my shifts the car's accelerating or braking, and I need that information to be able to time my up and down shifts, mostly the down shifts. So the throttle blip works perfectly. I'm flying blind. Swapping to a much lower moment of inertia type clutch is incredible, but it requires more information to be able to do it even better. And so I'm hoping to tighten up both my upshifts and downshifts and really make this thing sing, because it's killing me. Everything else is working really well. The other wild thing is, since we moved the vents on the hood to the front, we're getting even more cooling out of the front, but we are smoking things in the back where the exhaust can't really get out. And so all this heat, instead of being able to go out the vent that was here,
bubbling.
Oh yeah, that's even crazier. It's going through the drivetrain, because all the extra air coming through here is then pushing it down to the drivetrain, and that's what's melting the air shifting line. So we're working on getting that to be a hard line, but we're also going to put another duct here, so that way, just at speed, that's vacuuming out air. It'll be perfect for the exhaust. That we don't get that until tomorrow afternoon. We don't get anything until tomorrow afternoon, so scrambling to kind of make it all work. But we made it up the mountain every single run group, but that doesn't mean anything if we're not going at speed.
So you guys probably already know these lines keep blowing, and in order to make this happen, we need to hardline it. But in order to hardline it, we have to go from what this originally was, this little push dick fitting on the Teflon, to a flare adapter. So we don't really know if this is going to seal, so I'm just going to weld it on. Hopefully I could weld to this cast stuff. It looks a little funky. This ended up being brass, and you can't weld brass to stainless. That's just not a thing, and we don't have anything brazing here, so we ended up getting some new fittings, and this will work pretty good. So you got your ferrule for a flare to AN, something similar to this. I already installed the other ones, so you guys want to come over here. So essentially we just got something ORB. It ended up being a British thread, so it was a BSPP. We made it work. So we have it in here, 90 to the flare. It's going to come out and then go into this one. You can't really see that one because it's tucked and hidden, but it's basically the same as that. You'll have to trust me.
Biggest issue we had today that took down every run from being 100% effort to just make it up the mountain was the air shifter, and that is solid. The hard line just changes everything. We're gonna cut a hole in the hood, another one, and I got new vents coming in tomorrow, so that way we also mitigate the problem, because it's melting my wiring. That's how hot it's getting. Today was very fruitful. It's weird to be this exhausted at 6 p.m., but it's good to be this exhausted because tomorrow is even earlier. We got to leave by probably 2:45. That said, we got a lot done, and thankfully the guys from Haltech, Richard Nelson in particular, gave me the secret sauce for making the shifting even tighter. It's not an actual table in the Haltech. One of the cool things about Haltech is you can add custom table fields, and sure enough, he showed me a really cool way on the Haltech Facebook group for making this thing shift properly. So it actually turns it into a pretty motorsport setup. That said, we got the hood hole cut for the vent that will be on there later, probably tomorrow, which allows that whole exhaust to vent more. I don't know if this is going to help or make it worse for the moment, because the louvers actually help pull the air out. This might just shove it in. I don't know. All in all, I think that the car should perform pretty well. I think the first run tomorrow is going to be absolute trash. I'm just guessing at a lot of shifting settings, but it was going to be absolutely trash because I'm going to go slow anyway. So let's just hope that that's the only run that is absolutely trash from here on out. Hey, this is infinitely better than it was last year. I'm even in my t-shirt still. There's no significant wind. This will be my first time of actually trying the top section at speed other than on race day. Yeah, we were hoping to wait and let everybody else go first, so that way we'd have time to like look at the car and everything. It's solid. Everybody else is waiting, so we'll go. That is the first time flat shifting has worked properly on this car the entire time. It is ridiculously effective. The ECU is hitting a bug and shutting my fuel pumps off, unrelated to the fuel system. So that's when I died off the line. Fuel system was off. So right now I have it where it's gonna just keep retrying to get past whatever that bug is. But thankfully I was able to recover the log and be able to see the shifting from that last session. And it's crispy. You can just tell by the video how quick the upshifts are under power. And the downshifts are almost there. So I got some more work to do to them, and that's what I'm gonna go do right now. That was absolutely an insane ride. We have one hell of a car. I drove that considerably faster than I did last year at the race, and I got airborne so hard it froze my dash. I had to shift by sound, but thankfully the shifts are working great, so I knew to get to first or second and then do what I did. But that was an incredible run. I might sit this next one out, just go through the data really solid, and then go for the last one. But even if we're just done now, we're on. We are on. And this is a first for us. We are going to sit out the rest of the run groups voluntarily. I feel really confident. Obviously I want more seat time, but I don't want to hurt the car. The race officials kind of asked if I was done. Yeah. They're like, hey, you're good. But holy shit, is it so much more, so much more airtime. So what I'm gonna do is my Olin shocks need to be adjusted, slightest bit. Tomorrow's qualifying, and I want them to be the best for qualifying in mid. So we'll adjust our shocks tomorrow, knowing here's what we got here. What's going on is the car is bouncing 2 or 3 times after the initial bounce. Up here, it's very pronounced. You hit a bump or a pothole, your dream is it goes up and then kind of down and that's it. But mine's going up, down, up, down, up, down. That's not enough damping. If you're a morning person, this is home for you. This is your wet dream. Getting up at 2:15, this is qualifying. Whatever our fastest time is then compared to the other people's fastest time for what order we go in the day. Now, my goal is to be in the top 50%. So that means that on race day, I'm in the top 50%, which means I start halfway earlier in the day. I was at 55% last year, I think. It was 91 degrees. So you can see the benefit and the motivation to get faster today. So what we're gonna do is get the car warmed up, get me warmed up, and then put the good tires on, and then go do it again. So here we go. It is very loud behind me, but that's because it's almost go time. Now, what we've been told is that there's extra people in this run group now, so unfortunately, we only might get just 2 runs. So, reconnaissance, but kind of send it, and then fully send it. That's all we got today.
Dumping oil.
Am I?
Yeah, you got a huge cloud coming out. Oh, it's blue.
I don't know where it's coming from.
again. Let's say it's blue, whatever it is.
Yeah, blue is just oil, and there's the oil filter there.
Okay.
I might have popped the oil filter. We have a clamp on it, but I might have.
Yeah, before you started rolling, that wheel was pretty well oiled down as well.
Okay, that explains that I felt that way. So I'm gonna go talk to the race officials and see. I can coast back down, but I want to see what they recommend.
Let's go up there.
Yeah, let's take a look at it. Looks like my oil filter kind of separated a little bit. So,
You know. Do you have a full skid plate?
yes.
Okay. You can probably go down then as long as it's getting caught.
Yeah.
You have about a quarter-size drip somewhere underneath the center,
Okay.
but yeah, if you pull that in.
Yeah, so my oil filter and cooler are both down here.
Okay, so that's why it's so heavy in the front.
Yeah.
We're gonna see how much you lose just in the amount of time to my truck.
Perfect.
The silver Dodge down there.
Yep, perfect.
And then, so you're gonna stop there. I'm gonna walk up behind you, and I'll check how much you're dripping, and I'll decide if I can send you or not.
Okay. That's perfect.
So thanks for letting me know, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of drivers are just like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I need to make another run, so it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Someone else's oil went into my car. I don't have blue oil. That's
Yeah.
not me.
No, I'm not sponsored by
that's
Valvoline.
electric.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable trying to fire it up with how much you've lost?
Yeah, I've got reserves.
Okay.
And thankfully, that's not like a leak. It's
Right.
just. I did that at another hill climb event where it's the filter can't handle the pressure, and we even have you can see we even have a clamp on the filter.
Yeah. And it just pops up.
Yeah, it just because it's screwed in from the center.
Yeah.
So we can double clamp it next time.
You're boiling too. Your coolant boiled.
Oh shit. We'll make sure we bleed it properly there.
You just want to pull the cap now?
Yeah. Let's just get it done.
Here, I'll help. Yeah, right. Hold on, put your face right there.
That's a facial cleanse right there.
I like to exfoliate by
Yeah.
taking the skin off.
All layers. I hope I get to run again, but I qualified around the same speed I qualified last year.
Okay.
So not the end of the world.
Okay.
We'll let the situation dictate.
Yeah.
It's been a roller coaster of emotions, and they made me sit out the only other real run group, so I don't get a chance to qualify with my good tires. The whole safety team's been awesome because they're like trying to find the quickest way to help me with being realistic. And so what we're gonna do now, this is the second group. They've been sitting, they're about to start going down. I'm gonna go down behind them, and if the car isn't leaking oil, which it is, then I can turn around and do another run. But we'll just make the most of this. I qualified around the same time I did last year on shittier tires, and as you can see, I got stuck in a gear, had to shut the car off, turn it back on, and so I lost a lot of time on that straightaway when I should be all the way in 6th gear. So all in all, I got a lot of good experiences. I got a lot of data to go through, but at this point, I need to drive. I need to drive a lot more. We are back at UPP as expected. We just didn't expect these to be the problems that occurred, and it really derailed the ability to do the qualifying. But there's a couple really cool facts. One is I qualified at or maybe a little bit faster, like seconds faster than my qualification times last year, even with 65 seconds of being stuck in one gear. Haltech for some reason blocked the shifts. So you can see me struggling trying to stay in third gear, which part of it was okay. That's what I wanted to be in. But then I ended up losing a lot of time on a couple straightaways because I was stuck in third gear. That said, that's not what grounded us initially. What grounded us was a leak, as you see in the video. There was a leak in the oil system, and it looks like it was a fitting that came loose, and there's a lot of hard-mounted stuff instead of hoses between them, so we gotta watch out for that. All in all, the car ran 30 degrees cooler, coolant temperature-wise, than it did on race day. Water sprayers are working really well. They were working on it before, but most of them were spraying the E-gate. This time the E-gate's doing its own thing, and we're spraying the radiator. So I'm very excited for that. The downside to qualifying the same as we did before, even though it was slightly above halfway in our group, means realistically we're gonna be halfway or below on race day. Again, it looks like it's gonna be about an 86-degree day, so same temperatures as before, slightly less. But we got some tricks up our sleeve. That said, we were going over the whole car. There's a lot of emotions. It's really coming down to drive time. The car's not letting me drive nearly as much. Even though I have driven it twice as much now, last year and this year, when you step away from something like this for a year, you rightfully should be hesitant. And so I can tell I need to step my speeds up, and that's tough to do when the car won't do it. But we're gonna keep at it and see if we can make it to tomorrow's practice. It's becoming a tradition to fry a perfectly good Haltech every time we're at Pikes Peak and every time we're here at UPP. The last time was because the battery terminal was bouncing, and no ECU can really survive as much as it was spiking over 24 volts and everything like that. This time, it's a little bit different. The pump pulls a shit ton of amperage immediately and then settles down to 14 amps, which what they rate online is, hey, this pump uses 14 amps, but they don't talk about that spike. So that spike happening many times for the last 2 years almost ultimately burned out the circuit that is on, and so the rest of the ECU is fine except for the air pump. So the guys from Haltech Australia said, yeah, basically if you're gonna have something pull that hard and want it to work that way, get a solid state relay and have the Haltech control the solid state relay. But I asked him what the soft start does, and he's like, I don't know if it might work for you. And sure enough, the soft start forces that pump to like kind of like, and then it takes off, but it doesn't spike the amperage. And so it takes an extra second, but it continues to do what it was doing anyway, and it's not going to make a difference in the grand scheme of things. So it doesn't spike the circuit, and it stays at 14 amps after that. So we swapped ECUs. The other ECU is actually still good, except for one pin. We burned it out playing too hard, but we've got more air going to the E-gate just in case, but that E-gate's holding up very well. All the oil system really just solid. Did some serious shock tuning. Honestly, I feel really good for tomorrow's optional but required for us practice. This is the best the car's ever been. This is our final redemption. This is day 4 of testing. Honestly, it's really wild to see all my heart rate metrics, my blood sugar, and you can see my stress levels dropping each day, even though the stakes are rising. And today is no exception. We've done this section many times, but we've never had a full clean run other than the race last year. It's the section where we can make up the most time, because the faster I can get through those turns, the more I can be on power instead of waiting till the turbo spools up. So that's what I'm hoping for. We also have to scrub in the new race tires for race day. So we're gonna do the first run on brand new tires, come back, swap them to the trash tires. So we might get slower, but we're getting faster. absolutely incredible. I'm not the best driver, but I can drive this car pretty well. And I'll tell you what, my favorite saying when I feel like I'm doing good is, I'm paying for the whole road, I'm using the whole road. And that's exactly what I did just now. We're gonna have a little bit of a timeout for the moment. I was going at every other turn to try and keep the car cool, but as you can see, especially at the top, it was billowing smoke. We need that PTP turbo blanket badly, badly. I really want to both insulate and pull air through that area even more, because I just lost the ability to shift yet fucking again, but for heat reasons. The heat, I think, melted some sensors. So dig into it. I'm having a bug with Haltech right now where it's both locking me out of shifting and the dash freezes. Also a bug. I disconnected the EGT sensor, thinking that that was what, you know, like, hey, there's a warning that says don't put your EGTs on the same. Nope, it's the dash. I might have to downgrade the firmware on the dash. It just keeps losing connection. Always roping Joel into a wiring video. It is time to do what I'm best at, which is not driving, and fix a very melted set of wires. The wires that control the air shift actuators are melted. It's just getting insanely hot. And this is the section to do it. That I drove way faster than I ever have, and as a result created like exponentially more heat. I had left a service loop in that whole harness, so I'm gonna cut that service loop out, which is all melted, and then repin it, and we're gonna cover it all in extra heat shielding. It melted through the DR, melted through everything, so we're exceeding 400 degrees realistically down the drivetrain tunnel, and that's hurting everything. That's adding more heat to the transmission. We succeeded so well in the ducting that it left no air to pass through the car to keep the air cooler down the drivetrain. So all the heat from the drivetrain is actually coming from the whole turbo area, pushing back. Lesson learned there. That you make it tighter, and you pay the price. But like on an Indy car, it'd be nice to have a little like mini little scoop to feed the alternator, to feed the drivetrain, to cool the air around it and all the wiring. Unfortunately, my log from last run somehow isn't there. It's 2 seconds long, so it hurts. So what I'm gonna do is do a little baby trim, and unfortunately I won't be able to use the booted connection, but I need to see which pin's which before I can go much further. Doing the thing. So on the very first run, I ran a 318, scrubbing those tires in, and then on the second run, I ran a 307, and that was with taking every other turn slow.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that puts us in the category or the speed that we want to be at. I think the fastest I ran here last year was like a 335, somewhere in there.
Something like that.
Yeah, 30 seconds faster in this section. This is the section where I think I lost speed and ended up with 1104. So the other thing though is that this is like that make or break section, but the harder you go in this section, the more you overheat, more than the other two, because they have long windy things that can cool the car. This is balls out, off, balls out, off. So I'm gonna go back out. There's no easy way to say this. We have one hell of a car. No questions asked. It's something where I know this road now, and I know this road with this car. So I've got this map that's like being ran over and over and over in my mind, and it's using neurons I'll never get back for anything else, and I'm perfectly okay with that. I am going so much faster, carrying so much speed, finding better lines. Honest to God, if I did the lines that I did today last year, I think I would have been at 10:45. I look at the footage of midsection, and I took just really shitty lines because I treated each U-turn, like, you know, each switchback like this. Instead, I'm going with the braking real hard, and then wham, just screaming up the mountain before the turn's over, and that means faster times because I'm carrying that speed longer, if not accelerating more. So the one thing I'm kind of thinking about on race day, and I'll watch the temps to determine this, is I might skip the last gear on certain turns here because it is insanely hot. All the way up to 4th gear pull is one thing, doing all the way to 5th gear pull is like double the heat. So we'll see what race day Rob does, but currently thinks that, you know, to make sure I have some self-control.
Word on the street is you're about to send it this round.
Yeah, that's right, I'm part of the Sendy Club. This is gonna be my best run and smart. So on race day I might not be so smart, but this is gonna be like, okay, here's the best I can do right now. You'll see on all the cameras how much smoke was billowing in, but they're burning it all off, that's all. But I drove that harder than any of the other sessions. That was the hardest session, hardest push, without using the top gear. I was testing everything without using the top gear, and it was still a shit ton of heat. Okay, we are officially in the twos. That is nuts. That is absolutely nuts. So I am very, very excited for race day.
What's going on here?
We are celebrating. We got these for free. I mean, I paid like $4,000, but you get with $4,000, you get free 4-pack, and so the 4 of us have absolutely earned it. It's actually pretty good beer. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's not like, oh my god, it's absolutely amazing. But I love smaller companies, and this one very much is a big part of Pikes Peak. And I think as of today, we definitely, to ourselves at least, are hill climb heroes.